All right, welcome to the Teachers Talking Hoops podcast, where we podcast when there's no school in session.
That's right. Yeah, it's been a little bit since Thanksgiving, but
Yep.
it's
Well,
okay because finals happen.
yes, and we are back in the right state of mind with Duke basketball, so we're able to come back on and feel good about podcasting again.
Yeah, well, I'm not. Texas A&M has lost 3 in a row. So, well, wait a
It's
second. Wait a second. 3 of their last 4.
a little rough patch is all.
Yeah, a little. Well, we've got some team tonight.
Yeah,
Prairie View, I think.
Houston Baptist.
Houston
Houston
Baptist.
Baptist, and then Prairie View, and then
Yeah,
LSU. I'm thinking three in a row for
hopefully. We're
Texas A&M.
7-4. It's not like any of our losses have been bad. It's just 3 out of the last 4. Maybe if Tyrese Radford can get on the floor. But
All right. Cold open question of the week.
okay.
We were talking about UMass a little bit.
Yeah.
Is UMass's loss to Georgia Tech? Is that uh, uh, is UMass at the point where that is no longer a good loss? You know, 3 points, not at home, Power 5 team. Has UMass, or at least are the expectations for UMass
Then tempered?
that you got to you got to win that game?
Oh, I think you do have to win that game. I mean, they looked good early, and
Yeah.
then it just fell apart. I
You
don't
know
know
what
how
though?
many.
They looked good against who they lose to in the game that what game did they go to overtime in a couple weeks ago?
They've only lost to Harvard and Towson.
Harvard. It was a Harvard
Harvard,
game.
yeah,
You know,
Harvard.
they had that heart right. So if you hit your free throws against Harvard
Yeah,
and you close out against Georgia Tech, you got one loss.
yeah. And honestly, they should not have lost to Towson either.
Yep.
But
Yeah, they could be undefeated with a decent resume, a good mid-major resume.
yeah. Well, they beat West Virginia, so that's a Power 5 team. So
Yep.
that's not terrible. But the box score, I got to find the box score because they were jacking threes.
Yeah, and they were hot early. I think they
Yeah.
had like 5 threes in the first couple minutes of the game.
Yeah. So I mean, what are they now? 7-3? That's
Yeah.
not terrible. I mean, they have to, if they beat Hawaii and then if they beat, I don't know, Temple, that's still is that a power? Is that considered? Oh, they're Americans. I don't know if they're Power
Yeah.
5, but it doesn't matter. It's still Temple. You win those
Yeah.
two, you're 9-3.
And there's no reason to think. Well, I mean, I guess there is a reason to think because they're UMass, but I mean, they can win the A10.
Yeah, they can.
The A10 I feel like this is definitely a down year for the A10.
Yeah, but they're not going to get in the tournament without winning the A10.
Yes. Yeah, not anymore.
I think there's room for maybe 2 if Dayton does. Everybody says Dayton's the top team, but I haven't watched a lot of the A10. I mean, I guess if Dayton loses, maybe there's room for 2. But I mean, UMass had a good opportunity. Losing to an ACC team isn't terrible because Georgia Tech
Yeah.
beat Duke, but
Uh,
it's.
I guess that happened.
But it was a winnable game. Georgia Tech, Kyle Sturdivant got hot, and then just ran away with that. Just like Duke ran away with the game versus Baylor.
Light work. Without Tyrese Proctor,
That is
very. I would say that I was thinking about it the other day. I think Duke dominated that game. Baylor went on a run, and I mean Baylor was up 6, so it's hard to say Duke dominated the game.
Yeah.
But beyond like a 3-minute stretch, I would say Duke was in almost complete control of that game.
I was impressed that they beat Baylor. For the record, that was a Dave Estabrook top 3 moment of the year.
Top three.
That's
It
what
might have
that's
been
what
it. I'd have to go through my year, but it could have been like number one.
a Duke win, top three. Well, what was the? Yeah, I mean that was pretty impressive. Jared McCain, way to step up.
And oh man, that Ryan Young moment. Ryan Young has an
Yeah.
open lane, about to get met at the rim by a guy,
Yep.
and most certainly get blocked because it's Ryan Young.
Yep.
And kicks it out, and Jared McCain hits this wide open, and you don't
hmm
hit those wide open threes a lot. I feel like it's too much space. You're thinking about it.
It helps. It helps when your whole starting lineup is in double digits.
Yes. I mean,
And
I thought they're like Baylor's averaging, right for this, Baylor's averaging 88 points per game.
yeah.
I do statistical work, but only if it has something to do with Duke basketball. They're averaging 88 points per game. Duke, no team that Duke has played this year in its, I want to say Duke is 8-3, I believe.
hmm
Um, so in their 11 games, every team they've played has scored under their
Wow.
season average against Duke.
Okay, well let's temper that a little. Let's take out Southern
That's
Indiana.
that's still that's still
And
Arizona
yeah, okay. I'll
and
give you
that's
that.
still two high scoring teams.
I
Arizona and Baylor, very high
yeah.
scoring teams.
I will say it's encouraging for Duke that Kyle Filipowski can have a bad shooting night and they
Yep.
still can win the game because he went
Yeah.
5 for 14.
Yeah.
And you look at everybody else. McCain went 7 for 11. Roach went 5 for 9. Foster went 4 for 9. Mitchell went 3 for 6. That's still 50% shooting.
Roach might be one of the best guards in the country at getting to the basket.
Yeah, for
Like
his
he's not always
size.
going to
Yeah,
finish because he's small,
yeah.
but he's quick.
That was impressive. At neutral site, taking on Baylor. I mean, that was a good. I think there were some questions after the Arkansas and Georgia Tech back-to-back losses.
And I think there's still a couple questions, right?
Yeah,
Because this
but I think
Baylor
this
win,
shored up.
yeah, but this
Yeah,
Baylor win looks great
yeah,
if they hadn't gotten absolutely smacked in the face a couple days before at Michigan State.
yeah. That's
I mean,
also
they were
true.
down by like 30 to Michigan State.
Yeah,
But I also think Michigan State is going to hit, like Michigan State's a good, tough physical team. Tom Izzo's going to figure it out,
yeah,
and that team's going to make the tournament.
yep. And they're gonna do some damage like they
Yeah,
always do. It's just a
yeah,
matter of putting it together. But you
yeah.
look at it for Duke. I mean, it's almost like you had to get that win because you don't have a lot of
Hmm.
quality opportunity coming up. Like
Yeah,
the next ranked game is a month away
yeah,
against Clemson,
yeah. They're
and
going to
I
have
mean,
to. They can't like they almost have to screw up a like a Florida State game
yeah,
and make sure they win the UNC and Virginia Clemson games.
yeah, you at least get UNC at least once, and then Virginia, but UNC's they've dropped a couple.
So I think speaking of the Duke Baylor game, I thought Baylor. I don't think Baylor's quite as good as we thought they were. I think they're pretty good. I think they're going to get better. I don't think they were quite.
hmm
I think their ranking was a little inflated based off the teams that they played.
hmm
And I think similar thing when UNC beat Oklahoma. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the only Oklahoma game I've watched, and maybe UNC was just playing well, but I
hmm
was not impressed with Oklahoma.
No, yeah, it's like when you look at the box score and you're like, they're the 11th team
Yeah,
in the country. But Oklahoma is not even the team I'm impressed about in that conference. It's TCU.
yeah,
I'm more impressed with TCU in that conference. They're rolling right now. Micah
yeah,
Peavy just had a triple double a couple days ago. Yesterday they scored 111 points against
hmm
ODU. If I'm Baylor, I mean I'm watching out for TCU. Jamie
yeah,
Dixon's still got a squad. Um,
yeah. He's a good coach.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I would have liked to see, even though it's some Massachusetts bias, him versus Frank Martin. Even though TCU probably would have smacked UMass, but that still would have been a good coached game.
Let me tell you. So I've been doing my research into Ken Palm and Bart Torvik.
Okay.
Uh, I just lost here. According to Ken Palm,
Yeah.
uh, UMass. That was actually a bad loss for UMass.
Really?
They're ranked 112 in Ken Palm,
Wow.
and Georgia Tech is ranked 114.
Wow.
Now 112 for UMass and Ken Palm. If this next game over, oh wait, no, that was sorry, that's Bart Torvik. Um,
So they play Hawaii next.
yeah, UMass is 127 at
Oh,
Ken Palm. Um, a
that's
little bit ahead of West Virginia. What's he got Georgia Tech at?
that's bad though. Wow.
He's got Georgia Tech only at 121. So he's got
Yeah.
UMass at 127. So UMass is going to need they're going to need to figure out how can we get into the top 100 of Ken Palm. Dayton's 37. So
Yeah.
that's one path there for sure. Fordham, I think, Fordham's been terrible this year. Fordham's at 214.
Yeah.
I might be able to sort.
It's like when you watch that game and you see Georgia Tech's record and you give them the Duke win and you're like, are we talking about a possible tournament team? But then you look at their team and you say to yourself, no, this is
Yeah.
not. You wonder how UMass lost.
Oh, you know who else? We were talking about records like in the ACC, how they've kind of avoided bad like real bad losses.
Hmm.
NC State 8-3, they're 73rd in
Yeah.
Ken Palm. Um, Syracuse 9-3, 86 in Ken Palm. Boston
Yeah.
College 9-3,
Yeah.
89th in Ken Palm.
Yeah.
So I mean they've got a bunch. Florida State
Yeah.
5-5, but they're still 97th in Ken Palm. So you've got a bunch of Wake Forest 57th,
Yeah.
Virginia Tech 9-3,
Hmm.
50th in Ken Palm.
Yeah.
So you've got a bunch of ACC teams that are at
Yeah.
least that Virginia Tech game. If it's at Virginia Tech for Duke, it's probably gonna be a quad one.
Yeah. Probably
I mean, they're going to lose it because they can't
because
win
they
at
can't
Virginia Tech.
win in
But
Blacksburg. But I mean,
Michigan State is 21st in Ken Palm. It's seven. I mean, Michigan State's 7-5, and they don't really have a bad loss, right? Because we
no.
thought James Madison was the bad loss.
But then James Madison right now is a 10 seed.
Yeah,
And then you have the Nebraska loss, but Nebraska is the first four team right now.
yeah,
So you don't have any terrible losses.
yeah,
Yeah. Who else did they? Uh, Duke. Duke's not a bad loss at
yeah.
all. I mean, you're
They
seven and
lost
five.
to who? They lost to some other team. They lost to like a Kentucky or a Gonzaga or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And again, that's not a bad
Yeah.
loss either. So,
Um,
um, but I
Duke's.
think to speak on Michigan State for a second, I think they're going to figure it out. I think
Oh, for sure.
they just have to find the right combination. I think they're another one like Duke that with that Baylor win answered a lot of questions if they were really relevant.
I think that might be. I think Michigan State might have lost to Baylor
No, they beat Baylor
or
badly. That was
Arizona. It
bad.
was Arizona.
Oh yeah, yes,
Arizona.
Arizona,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Because I knew they played another team that Duke had played.
yes,
So I mean, yeah, Michigan State they're going to have a good strength of schedule.
yeah,
I was impressed when they played Duke. When they
hmm,
played, I watched them against Arizona. I watched them against Baylor. They were playing fast and confident against Baylor.
yeah,
Against Duke, they were really physical. Like they're a strong team. They reminded me of like maybe a not as strong and physical as Tennessee from last year, but also just a better basketball team,
hmm,
like a more talented basketball team.
yeah,
I could see them if they catch the right opponents
yeah,
in March. There's no reason that that's not
no,
potentially like an Elite Eight team.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. They're definitely an elite eight team. I guess if we're talking about the ultimate team that's avoided bad losses, surprisingly, Frank Martin's old squad, South Carolina. Right now, they are the very last team in the NCAA tournament. Right now,
Yep.
I'm
72nd in Kempom.
yeah, I'm surprised about that. Their only loss is to Clemson, and they have really avoided every single bad loss. They have a Virginia Tech win. I mean, they have a Notre Dame win, but that's not worth much these days now. I guess if you just avoid bad losses,
Yep.
another one, Ole Miss. They're crushing it, 11-0. I know you don't like Chris Beard, but I mean, they're ranked, they're relevant.
Yeah. Who's the other? That's it. Where'd they go?
I'm
McNeese State, 10 and
that is
2,
so random.
138 in Bart Torvik, but aren't they being coached by Will Wade?
Yes, right. Will Wade. What's the
Um,
record?
they're 10 and 2. They're 91st in Ken Palm.
Seriously?
Um,
If
I mean,
McNeese State breaks my bracket this year, I'm gonna be upset.
they're not. I assume that there's no way that McNeese State picks up any quality wins. Although,
All right.
uh,
Well, let's relax here. Look at three of their wins here. College of Biblical Studies, Champion Christian, Mississippi University for Women. What is this? This is a
no,
joke.
no. Did you know that the University of Mississippi for Women allows men to go to the college?
This is a joke.
They one of the most famous male graduates. You talk about statistics. I am prepared. If I know anything about the season, I know about the University of College for Mississippi Women or whatever. The the lead drummer of the Zach Brown band went to Mississippi College for Women.
The score was 9-47 at halftime.
They are. It used to be called something like the College of Higher Education for white women in Mississippi or something like that.
This is a joke.
I was like studying the Wikipedia page,
They won 92-20. You know what?
but they got Michigan coming up,
They do.
and you know what? Juwan Howard is out there trying to fight his strength and conditioning coach. I think McNeese State wins that game.
Did he return back to
He just came back, and I don't trust Juwan Howard at all.
the bench?
Yeah, he they're firing him after this year. He's gone.
You think so?
Yeah,
I mean,
unless they
Michigan's
can. So right now, Michigan is what's Michigan's record?
all right, but Phil Martelli's been coaching that team, though, not Joan Howard.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, that's true, right? So they're 6-6 overall. I mean, I guess if he turns it around, I guess if they're like, oh, look, without Juwan Martin, we're a 500 team. With him, we end up with a 22-11 record or whatever,
Yeah.
and play well in the Big Ten. If he can prove that, but if they finish with a 500 record in the Big Ten,
Which is probably
yeah, he's
what's going to
gone.
happen. Yeah.
I think that they think that he is a massive headache.
Mm.
That
yeah,
is
for
not
For sure.
giving them the result. Right? They lost. What's his name there?
Dickinson.
Yeah, they lost Dickinson. He's getting in all these issues. The team isn't like you would think that he can recruit because one of the Fab Five, but two,
Yeah.
just a name, Juwan Howard. Right? He steps into your house and he's like, hey, I want you to go to Michigan. And go, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And I think because of just the news that's come out about him, he just doesn't have that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that program, I'm trying to think. The really only year they had success under him in the tournament was that year that they went to the Elite Eight when they were an 11 seed.
Yeah.
That was the year they beat Tennessee and then they lost to Villanova. Or that was Sweet 16 or whatever, one of them.
I mean, that's like that was the trend that Hubert Davis had, right? Is Hubert Davis a good coach? And I think he's finally, and we talked about this at the beginning of the season. I mean, that North Carolina team is, speak about no bad losses, right? They've got a couple losses, but no bad losses.
No.
And they're good. That team is pretty, and they're good because I haven't looked up his stats, but it seems like they're very much not relying on Armando Bacot.
Yeah.
And
I think that helps. Yeah.
Yes. If he
Take
needs
some
a big
attention
game,
away.
he's going to get it, but
Yeah. I think the team that did a really good job on him, who was I impressed by? Two teams. Two of my top 10 teams in the nation. My first team, my team of the month, because we don't do team of the week anymore. My team of the month, the first team that did a real good job on Armando Bacot is Little Northeast Love, Yukon Huskies. They're my team of the month. you can ground and frown all you want, but they'd be in Indiana, 15th
They're your
ranked
team of the month
Texas.
after they lost to Seton Hall.
No. They're team of the month. They beat Indiana, Texas, UNC, and Gonzaga all in a month. They lost to Kansas by 4. They did a great job on Baycott. I was very impressed that UConn can go in neutral site and in a way and beat a top 10 team. Losses are going to happen. They're going to
I think
crush
at the
Rick
end of the
Pitino.
season, how good are those wins going to look at the end of the season? Is Indiana going to collapse? Yes.
Yeah,
Is
but it's
Gonzaga?
again, it's a Power Five. Listen, right now UConn looks like the best team that has a chance to repeat. They've looked like one of the best possible repeats in a while. This is a squad that can play.
If I was forced, if I was forced to pick a favorite right now, if you're
Uh,
like you have to pick the right now, you got to pick the team that's going to win the NCAA championship. I mean, I would tell you it's the Duke Blue Devils.
of course you would.
But, I'm still, I'm still real high in Kentucky.
Yeah, that was my second team. My second team that did a great job on Baycott. Kentucky is a top 10 team. And
Yeah,
my coach of the month goes to John Calipari. Sorry, but he beat Miami and UNC in the same month. Top 10. I get it. You guys just beat Baylor, but
yeah. You know what? Kentucky is my favorite without or like even though they have John Calipari, right? Like I think if Bill Self was coaching Kentucky, I'd be like, give him the national championship.
mm-hmm. they
I don't know. I'm not convinced that Calipari is going to be able to get them there.
they have got a squad right now. They
Yeah,
look really good right now. I mean, granted, Louisville's Louisville, and I'm sure we'll touch on them. But they look really good right now. Even though they're a young team, and young teams don't generally have a ton of success today, they're athletic, they're fast, they're quick, they can shoot, they can attack the rim. I mean, again, if you can outpace your opponent, you know, and again, they're well coached.
yeah. They're
So
playing like
yeah,
Antonio Reeves is playing
yeah, yep.
great basketball.
And again, the everybody's like the loss to UNC Wilmington. It happens.
Yep.
Losses are going to happen.
Yeah.
Everybody has one.
Yeah. You're gonna
So
get caught. I mean, look at who'd FAU lose to in the beginning of the season that we were
Bryant, yeah,
down.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was my other thing is FAU's return to relevance. We all
Yep.
thought
They've
they were
rebounded for
done.
sure.
They have,
We after they lost to Bryant, we talked on the podcast. I think I said like I mean I wrote them off for dead. I said that they're not even gonna make the tournament.
yeah. Remember when we were like, if they lose to A&M,
Yeah,
they
we went
lose to
down all these things,
Liberty,
all these games that they're gonna lose, and then they won them all.
and then Henry Coleman got hurt, Boots Radford got hurt. They beat us by 4, and they've got another opportunity against Arizona this weekend to add to that resume. But
That
I don't
I
think
think Arizona's my second would be my second best team.
Arizona looks good. Arizona looks good too. I don't think FAU is a Final Four team, but I think
No,
they're a good team, definitely.
I still need to see. I I I would never pick Purdue to make the Final Four if forced to, until they prove it to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good team, but I wonder if
Well, didn't they just beat Arizona?
yes, but the shooters got hot.
Okay,
Fletcher
sure.
Lloyd got hot,
Yep.
and it's just is he going to be able to do that? And Arizona came back in that game. Like
Yeah.
Purdue was pulling away big time, and
Mm-hmm.
Arizona came back, and I was impressed with how they were to handle Zach Edey and his size. Like
Sure.
it sometimes. But I'm also like I'm impressed that Zach Edey doesn't foul out of more games.
Yeah, a bigger dude, you can get into foul trouble easily.
Yeah, because guys are gonna because they figure out Zach Edey is gonna beat us, so we got to just drive right at him and hope that
Yeah.
he's gonna pick up some fouls, and he just doesn't.
Yeah. Uh, Again, everybody asks the same question every year. Does Purdue have the squad to make it? And then everybody says Zach Edey's unstoppable, and then they run into a team uh, comparable to FDU or St. Peter's, and they blow it. So if I had to place bets right now on would they make it past the first weekend, I'd say no. Um, but again, they've beat some teams that people are like, wow, they look really good right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's
Speaking of
tough.
Zach Edey, let me give you a little trivia time.
Okay.
Let me look it back up again. I was looking at this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Not college related,
Mm-hmm.
basketball related. Um,
Sure.
let me. Oh, here we go. Is this right here? Here it is. Put out a guess as to what you think Victor Wembanyama is averaging for points and rebounds right now.
I guess.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I saw this. Is he? He's like at what 15.3 points per game, and then I'd say like 8.7 rebounds.
So this morning, I don't know why I thought about it. I'm like, man, this guy's a bust, right? Like
Yeah,
he's not like because I think I saw in his last game he had like 8 points. So I'm like, oh, like this guy. Every time I look in the box score, he's not doing well.
he just
He's
had a
averaging
2020.
18.5 and 10.7.
Okay,
That is way better than I thought he was scoring.
it's because the Spurs are bad,
Yeah.
and they it's they just are stuck in that hole.
Okay, non one more NBA thing.
Okay,
College related because it's Duke related. What do you
sure,
do with Zion? Like Zion is Charles Barkley called him fat, right? And he
sure.
is. He's
Yeah,
fat. But
he's
but
fat.
he still is like putting up numbers though.
If I'm okay, so let's go back in time 5 years ago when everybody thought that he was going to be this dominant
Yeah.
LeBron esque type player. And now, yesterday, I see that his contract isn't even guaranteed because he
Yeah.
only played in 29 games last year.
He was the nicest, most like humble person at Duke.
Yeah.
Like great character at Duke. And then I don't know if he's depressed. Like I don't know what's going on.
So here's what would happen if I'm the Pelicans GM, right? I either because honestly, Zion's a liability now.
Yeah.
So you either find a trading partner to get something, or you just let him walk
Well,
because
you would think you could get something for him, right? You would think
yeah,
there's a GM there that's like, oh, I
yeah.
can turn Zion around.
Or you look at a struggling team, or you look at a GM who likes a project. I mean, I'm sure Detroit would take anybody over there.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, give us a couple of picks. We'll give you Zion. He needs some work, clearly, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have cut the line about 2 years ago, but Pelicans are nicer than I am.
He's just like
It's
he
bad.
was he was so nice at Duke, and he just he's like kind of angry and like you see that I read this online like Kendall Jenner or something like somebody on Instagram was like, do you like who likes
Wow.
chocolate, and he just popped out and was like, I do.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do about Zion anymore. That I'm kind of ready to. I mean, honestly, when you think of the NBA, you kind of forget he
Yeah.
just hasn't played. He hasn't
I
played.
also read this thing on Reddit that do you know apparently there's a rule that if it's called like the team casualty rule or something like that, that if more than 5 players on your team die in a year, they hold like a a draft and you're able to like select people from like another team.
What?
Um, let me look it up. The
Wow, I didn't know that rule. That's
it's
kind of been.
called the so it's called the disaster draft. Um,
Huh.
if five or more players on a team die or are dismembered, a special disaster draft would be held in which the other NBA teams could only protect five players.
Really?
So, like, you pick five players, and then anyone else can be taken from your team. On Reddit, someone's like, "What if the Pistons just go and kill five of their players so they can get better players?"
That is dark.
The thing is, though, the Pistons like they don't even have that bad of it. They don't have a bad enough team where they should only have 2 wins.
Yeah, like they're not bad. They have guys who can
I mean,
play.
they have Morgan Bagley for God's sakes.
Maybe that's why they're 2-25. Maybe they're giving him the ball too much. Maybe they're playing him. That's why. I don't know. I don't know. They yeah, I never thought a basketball team would be worse than Louisville nowadays, but
Mhm.
the Detroit Pistons continue to defy the odds.
Someone else is bad too. Someone else only has like 4 wins.
The Spurs.
Oh yeah.
The Spurs. The Spurs are bad. The Spurs. That's a
Yeah,
mess.
Wizards only have 5 wins, but I think the Wizards had like very clearly were trying to like
Yeah.
tank and rebuild.
Yeah. Maybe they'll get Tyrese Proctor.
So there's I don't know. There's talk about whether Tyrese Proctor is going to come off the bench. I think that's not the right call. I think you have to put Caleb Foster off the bench, and they need to find a way to somehow work Sean Stewart into the lineup. Like I would. There's no way they should lose the Queens. Like I would just play Sean Stewart 30 minutes. Like let the other 4 guys and like let Sean Stewart have 10 turnovers. He's gonna turn 10 turnovers. Just let him play for 30 minutes.
Ryan Young only played 8 minutes in the Baylor game.
I know he did with a big 8 minutes. Actually, the first 4 minutes weren't very good. It's a big last 4 minutes.
I know Shire's cutting his rotation down.
I know.
He's down to 8 already. It's December. All right, so let me ask you this. So, the past month of watching college basketball, what teams need work to you?
Well, let me tell you, according to BartTorvik.com, in the past, since December 1st, so in the month of December,
Yeah.
here you go, trivia time. I'll help you out here. So okay, in the month of December, according to Bart Torvik, with the statistics he uses, I'll give you hints on the other ones. But who do you think the number 1 team in the nation is statistically, according to him?
Statistical, what statistics? Like top
He
team?
uses like adjusted offense, adjusted defense, rebound percentage, turnover percentage, like your general statistics, 3-point percentage. So like when you compile all that together.
So is it a top 10 team in the rankings?
Yes, for sure. Yep. And it's a power conference team.
This is a tough one. I have to think of.
And then we'll go through the top 10, but I'll give you hints for all the other ones.
Okay. I will say it's Arizona.
Arizona's number 2. This team, number 1 team, is from the Big 12.
So Houston.
It's Houston. Yep. So Houston, Arizona. Number 3 is from the Pac-12.
That would be. Wait, Arizona's.
Yep. So not Arizona. This is a team. They're 4-0 in December. A Pac-12 team.
What other Pac-12? Well, they're definitely not in the top 10 then.
Nope. They are having a good season though. They're not. They might not. I don't think they're actually even ranked in the top 25. But they are having a good season for them.
Pac-12. Is it Utah?
It's Colorado.
Yeah, that was my second guess. Is Colorado.
Fourth one is a little more obvious. Fourth one's a Big Ten team, a good Big Ten team.
Is it Purdue?
Yeah, fourth is Purdue. Fifth is another Big 12 team. They're 5-0 in December.
Did I say Kansas?
No, not
There's a
Kansas.
TCU.
Let me see if this team's ranked.
Is it TCU?
Nope. I don't. I'm gonna guess this team's probably not ranked. I'm thinking. This team is not ranked in the top
No,
25.
really. Because my guess was going to be. Is it Texas Tech?
Iowa State.
Iowa State.
Then the number
Really?
6 team is a Big Ten team. They are ranked. They're ranked 13th right now in the top 25, so pretty high up there.
Big Ten. Is it Illinois?
It is Illinois. Where's Kansas at?
Kansas is 5,
Kansas,
I think.
yeah, they're not anywhere in this Bart Torvik thing. Wow, they're way down there. All right. Number 7 is a Big 12 team, a new Big 12 team.
So it's got to be BYU.
Yeah, BYU. 8 is an American team.
American.
They're probably
team?
not ranked in the top 25 again.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, they're not ranked.
The American Athletic.
Yep. How about Ole Miss, huh? Ole Miss being 10-0.
I know, yeah. Is it, I don't know, East Carolina? Wichita
SMU.
State? SMU. That's crazy.
Number 9 should be number 9's A10 team,
Dayton.
and then number 10 is a Big 10 team. We talked about them a little bit in this podcast.
Some Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State. And then you go 11 Alabama, 12 Tennessee, Duke's down in 20th. What do you think Kansas is ranked? They're in the top 40, I'll tell you.
I'm going to say 31.
29th.
Okay.
Yep. So according to him in the past, a couple other notable teams like North Carolina's only 44, Kentucky's only 45. His rankings are weird. You got some surprising teams up there. St. Bonaventure's got 30th.
Really?
I wonder what's got UMass, because UMass had a decent month, I feel like. 108. Arkansas down 104. Who's the team I saw that was like surprising though that was up there? He's got Montana at 31st.
Really?
Huh. There's one team I was kind of surprised with. Let's get Utah down 36. But yeah, speaking of the actual top 25, Ole Miss, good. Memphis having a good season.
Yep.
Memphis is like, I don't know if there's a guy on Memphis that's younger than 30.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Memphis just has a bunch of old guys that have been in the game for like 5 years. It's, I mean, I don't know. I guess, but that's the new world with the transfer portal and everything.
Yeah.
But you did mention Alabama. I don't know how I don't know. I mean, they're 6-5. They're a 6 seed. They're a 6 seed right now. They just lost to
Arizona. They just lost to Arizona.
Yes. Yeah. So they're 6-5. They're a 6 seed right now. Which, I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a 6-5 team ranked that high.
They score a ton of points.
Yeah, and none of their losses are bad.
With a podcast I've just listened to, Stat Time, in their first 9 games, they scored 98 points more than where the team was last year.
Yeah, I can believe that.
So I mean, they're putting the ball in the hoop. I guess the question is, I haven't looked at the games to see how close the games have been. Maybe they're scoring the ball, but they don't have what was Brandon's name? Brandon
Miller.
Yeah, they don't have Brandon Miller. So they don't have someone that can close it.
They lost to Ohio State 81-92. They beat Oregon 99-91. They lost to Clemson 85-77. They lost to Purdue 86-92. They lost to Creighton 82-85, and then they lost to Arizona 74-87.
So
So
when you
it's,
when you see that,
yeah,
does that tell you that they don't play defense, or that they just play so fast that the other team's going to score a lot of points too?
that tells me that they can't beat good teams, which
Okay.
is concerning because you look at the rest of their schedule and you're like, yeah, of course they were going to win those games.
Hmm.
But then you look at those 5 losses, and I mean, that's the type of quality of team you're going to see in the tournament if they make
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So it's
Even
like,
in the Big Ten tournament,
yeah. So if you can't beat
or
teams like,
SEC tournament rather.
yeah,
Sorry.
if you can't beat teams like that in the non-conference, then what makes you think you're going to match up against a Kentucky or a Tennessee or an A&M
Yep.
or an Ole Miss?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Alabama flies, and I'm sure, with scoring that amount of points, you're going to sacrifice some defense. But if you can't beat the good teams,
Yeah.
people aren't going to people are going to write you off, and they're not going to
Yeah.
pick you.
It's one of those teams where, like, if they got to the Elite Eight, it wouldn't surprise you because they
Yeah,
might get the right matchups, and if you're scoring that many points,
yeah, yep,
then you have a chance to win a game.
yeah,
But that doesn't necessarily mean they're a good team. It
yeah,
just means they kind of lucked out a little bit.
yeah. Because let me find it. Lunardi has them as a 6 seed right now. Score update: Bryant is beating Drexel, and UMass Lowell is pounding Boston University.
Okay.
Um, Bryant scored triple digits. Alabama right now would play the winner of Nevada and Nebraska in the first round.
So here's
So,
here's the interesting thing about Bartorvik. I have to
yeah.
do more research into him.
Uh
He
huh.
has Alabama in 11th in
Uh
the
huh.
month of December, even
Yep.
though they're 1-3.
hmm It's because they've put up
Yeah.
I mean, they've put up basically 80. They've put up 74, 82, and 86 in December. So that's an insane amount of points.
So actually, I'll tell you that it looks like we go back to the start of the season.
Uh huh.
Um, Alabama, yeah, from the start of the season, Alabama has the best offense in the country.
hmm
Purdue is just barely behind them with the second.
Yeah.
Texas A&M actually is third.
Okay.
And then we go to defense, according to
hmm
Bart Torvik. Um, Houston has the best defense. Yeah, Houston has the best defense,
Yeah, I
and
can
then
believe that.
Virginia, Arizona, St. Mary's, Tennessee.
Mm, that's impressive.
Yeah, so I
Ten-
think you're a team that wants to be ideally, top 10 in
yeah.
both, right? Which is
Yep.
probably, like a Purdue. So Purdue is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Purdue's ninth in defense and second in offense.
hmm Okay. Yeah, I mean, if they can hold their opponents to 75 instead of 85,
Yep.
they may win at least one more of those games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know. Right now, I would not pick Alabama to beat. I mean, again, I don't know. I only watched Nevada against Temple yesterday, but I'm going to watch Nevada against TCU because that's going to be a good game tonight. 5 p.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. Hawaii time. But I haven't watched Nebraska. I don't know what their roster makeup is.
What we
Um,
should do next week. We'll do resolutions,
mhm.
but let's play a game next week of
Okay.
uh, pretender versus
Okay.
I don't know, like real or
Con-
fake.
Contender versus pretender.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the top 25. And so we'll hold up on talking about these guys until next week. But there's things that jump out, right? Oklahoma jumps at you,
hmm
Colorado State, BYU, Clemson, James
hmm
Madison, Ole Miss, Memphis. There's a lot of team in the top 50 that I think
hmm
would be interesting to talk about.
Sure.
Are they going to be able to hang in there for the long run?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Contender versus pretender.
Yeah, we already got a plan. Now we just have to actually podcast.
We have to actually put something together. It can't fall through the roof this time. You've got a little
um,
bit of layover till you have to go back after the New Year's. I've
yes,
got a
yes,
little bit longer.
I've got time.
I've got a little bit longer.
Yeah, I thought there was some decent, or at least ranked teams playing.
FAU
Uh,
versus Arizona is Saturday.
Marquette, you got Marquette, Georgetown
St.
tonight.
John's,
Georgetown's
Yukon.
playing a little bit better.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, prediction time that we'll check in the
Yes.
next podcast.
Oh, the ACC
Um,
SEC Challenge tied 7-7.
yeah, um, Kansas is a 15 and a half point favorite over Yale.
Mm.
You think they win by more than 15?
I think they win by less than 15.
I think so too.
I think so too. Those Ivy teams, they play you tough.
They do. That's why they're so and it feels like the Ivy has played a little bit better of a schedule this year than the
Yeah.
past years.
Yeah, definitely.
And in the tournament, they're always so tough.
Princeton repping last year. Yale's
Yeah,
repped. Harvard's repped. They beat Cincinnati a while ago, but never bet on the. Never bet. I'm done betting against Ivies.
I know. You got Colorado. Okay, Colorado State, Loyola. That would be interesting to kind of go along with our contender versus pretender thing to see if
Mm-hmm.
Colorado State wins that one because it's at Loyola Marymount. So that's Illinois versus Missouri. That might be a
Yep.
little tough one for
Yep.
Illinois.
Going on the road. Illinois got smacked by Missouri last year. Remember that?
Yep. Baylor hopefully is going to right the ship against Mississippi Valley State today.
Yeah, that'll be a tough one. That'll be a tough one for Mississippi Valley. That score will be like 95-30. That's like playing Mississippi College for the women or whatever that school name is.
A dominant school.
Yeah, that was what a joke. McNeese State is no, forget it. I'm done. Will Wade is slimy.
All right. Let's see. 3-point percentage. How do we look at that? Best 3-point shooting team in the country. Any guesses?
Best 3-point shooting team in the country. I'm gonna go with Miami.
Baylor. Until
Really?
they got shut down by Duke.
Yeah, right? Like they've got shut down 2 straight games. What do you mean best percentage?
I guess in my research into Baylor before Duke played them, I guess they just don't shoot a lot of threes.
That's true.
So
The less
so
you
that is
shoot,
kind of
yeah, the higher
yeah.
your. Are you going to do research for Queens?
Oh, of course. Because those I'm doing Duke plays Syracuse on my birthday.
That's a trap game right there.
I know.
Like that is a boxed in trap game.
I gotta look up here. Let's
Is
finish
it
up with
at Syracuse?
it's at Duke. I want to say. I'm pretty sure it's at Duke because I looked it up and because I was thinking about maybe going.
Mm,
You wouldn't believe I say this in all seriousness because normally I don't do this. I was probably 50-50 on going out to Madison Square Garden and watch the Baylor Duke game.
really?
Because I looked up tickets the day before, and it was like $50 for. I mean, you were up in the nosebleed, sort of, but like,
Okay.
I debated it. It's just such a hassle to get into New York.
Yeah. You can take the train. I mean,
Yeah, and it would have been that would have been a fun. But I don't like going live because I sit there so grumpy the whole game. But there
no.
were some big like that. It would have been cool to see that Jared McCain 3 live.
Yeah, you got to go. I mean, listen, I remember I saw Zach Eady live. That was
You always talk
insane.
about the Hoopall Classic. I got to get out to that this year.
You do have to get out to that. That's great. Cooper Flag's gonna be there. But you have to.
Yeah, I should get out to that to
But
watch him.
lately, you have to buy your tickets ahead of time because it's ever. So the difference is 5 years ago that tournament wasn't that known,
Yeah,
so you could just come in and buy your ticket. Now you got to buy your tickets online, like
yeah,
way in advance, because that's gonna be sold out. And you got to get there early. Cooper Flag will be there. I'm sure a couple other Duke recruits will be there.
yeah. Let me let me start to lead us off with this.
Okay,
Um, will Bronny James go pro after this year,
I think so. I
just so he can play with LeBron?
play with his dad. Yeah, I think so.
Now, so is he? Do you think if given a year, he'll be good enough to at least play for a G League team? So, like, technically, what should be his junior year of college, will he be good enough to be in the G League?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a good player. He's
Yeah.
just got to keep playing.
Yeah, and I'm
Obviously,
sure
he's not.
he's not playing great right now, and I'm sure he probably didn't play basketball for a couple weeks after his
Yeah,
heart thing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, you got to give him time. You got to give him time, definitely. But I, I think he'll be fine. I think Bronny will be fine. LeBron's not going to let his son
Yeah,
just be a G League guy for a lot of his career.
it feels like LeBron's got to be close to done. I mean, maybe he's got 2 or 3 more years, but like Bronny's got to come out soon.
Yeah, and honestly, I never thought that I would utter LeBron James and retired in the same words. It's just
Hmm.
weird. But
Yeah, he's, and I think, I mean, the Lakers won the in-season thing, but now they're starting to collapse. They weren't that
yeah,
good last year.
yeah.
It's almost, I don't know if he has the power to. I think my second, and it might be living in the moment. My
Mhm.
second favorite player of all time. I was watching a TikTok about this the other day. It might be Steph Curry. Like he's just fun to watch.
I think he's going to be in the conversation for the greatest player of all time pretty soon.
I think so.
I think so. He's if he's not there already, he's getting there. He's getting there.
All right, you got any closing thoughts?
Um, I don't think so. Besides all to you and your family and all our watchers to have happy holidays, Merry Christmas if you celebrate, and a happy. Well, we may see you guys for New Year's. So
Yes, we'll be back for we will be back at some point next week,
okay,
probably on um really any day besides Christmas, probably.
yes, okay, okay. We're gonna be back. We're gonna play contender or pretender. So
Yeah,
should we
we
come
might
up with some
we might
teams?
even do a second podcast and just put it in the can so we can release it on a week that we missed. Maybe we'll do one that's not relevant about like current happenings, like just best college basketball team in the last 20 years or something like that.
True, and then that way, when we go back to school and have a huge,
Yep. Yeah, we can just release that out there.
okay, but as the tournament gets closer, we have to get on our A
Yes.
game.
And I think once we actually get, I mean, we've had big games, but I think once we actually get into
Conference
conference
play, yeah,
play,
yeah, definitely.
because you can see those games matter a little bit more, and I think they matter because right, if you lose to Arizona, Purdue, whatever in the non-conference,
Yeah,
like okay,
yeah,
like good loss,
yeah,
but if you lose to even a good team in your conference, unless you're in the Big 12, but
mhm,
like I don't know. It feels like it hits a little harder. It matters a little bit
yeah,
more.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, conference play is exciting because you
Yeah,
never know who could win on any given night. So
yeah.
you could lose to BC. Maybe it'll happen this year. BC. What if
Probably.
they make a tournament run? You never know.
I'm gonna have to figure out who I think is gonna be the the surprise ACC team this year.
Honestly, we say BC every year, but if they string together a couple wins,
I like their coach. Um, maybe I'll have to see who BC's playing this year to see if it's worth kind of getting out there.
I know. I saw that they played Virginia toward the end of the year, but that's a nine
Mhm.
o'clock game.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I have early class the next day. But I might hike it out
yeah,
to watch Virginia because it's not like it's 3 hours away either.
yeah.
So I know they play North Carolina at home.
Wonder how packed that would be. The Duke one was tough. It wasn't bad. It was just a pain to get out of the garage afterwards
Oh, I bet.
because it was just so full.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I, they play Miami. Maybe they play Miami at home. I don't know.
Maybe Georgia Tech will be the surprise team, and it won't be that'll be a decent loss for
No,
UMass, right?
that'd
'Cause
be.
I think, but I mean, like we were saying, like at this point, UMass a good loss helps maybe their seed,
Yeah.
but it doesn't get them to the tournament. Like they've got to win the A10. Like if they can win the A10 and have that good Georgia Tech loss, maybe now they're maybe a 12
12.
seed or
12.
11
Yeah.
seed,
Yeah.
as opposed to although the A10 champion is not going to be a 15 or 16 seed. That's going to
Yeah.
be more a
Like a
13 at worst, probably.
yeah, somewhere 11 to 13, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've got a dominant, if you're a real dominant A10, I mean, you could get high, but you're more in like the 8-9 range.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're just a good A10 team, you're probably in that double digit
Hmm.
seed.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, as Adam said, thank you, viewers. And we've got some big things coming in the second half of the year. Maybe some merch.
Wouldn't that be something? Start your own website.
We might have some special guests on at some point. We might be tossing out some NIL money to people.
Okay. All right.
Maybe maybe Matt Cross. Maybe we'll sponsor Matt Cross. We'll buy him. We'll get him some lunch once a week, and he'll
He
come on the
should be getting
podcast.
us some lunch with that UMass dining.
Alrighty, yeah. Well, thanks, folks, and we'll see you next week.